It's been discussed that the game Forza Horizon isn't working, and that most people are having major issues with it. I was in that category myself, and I'm so passionate about the game. It is such a good race game. I think more people should be playing it. I'm really, truly sad it's not really on the PC platform. Obviously Microsoft wants Xbox sales, and it's launched for Xbox. You can't physically buy it for PC. You have to buy an Xbox copy and then digitally download it. And with all the bugbears that is the Microsoft shop, which is not a lot of fun, and no ability to back the game up, we really are at the mercy of the Microsoft Store. Now, in fairness, Microsoft Store is trying to improve. There is new developer builds of Windows, which this will be one of. And apparently we've got a new game mode. I haven't found game mode making any improvement whatsoever in the game Forza. In fact, it's a little bit worse than that. You're going to find probably during my clip of playing that the game is going to drop back to desktop, and I'm just going to have to get up and Alt-Tab back to it. And I'm fairly sure it's something going on in Windows that it's not really my thing. Well, look, handy if you can log in, eh? Anyway, as you can see, my name is Rene Mill. I'm going to now give us a bit of footage of Forza, and I'm sorry it's not in 4K so that you can see all the fine pixels on my screen. It will be true in the top corner of my screen will be a frame rate. What we will find is the frame rates are going to vary between 40 and 75, which is my FreeSync range for the game. Well, let's fire it up. Now there's a few tricks we can do when running Forza, and so that's the purpose of this video. Is I'm just going to show a few things that we can do to make it run better. One of the things I've actually done here is I've loaded up the task manager. I highly recommend that we start the task manager before Forza comes up for a few reasons. It makes it really easy to Alt-Tab to after the game comes up. So it's quite easy to start the task manager. You simply do the three-finger salute we've been doing ever since the 90s, and version Win95, maybe 3.1. I can't remember that far back as to whether I actually did the three-finger salute in Win 3.1. But the three-finger salute, Control, Alt and Delete, gets us to a screen where we can select Task Manager. Okay? I know this is true for Forza players because Forza players are of course locked into Windows 10 as an environment. Doesn't really make sense because clearly the whole reason to run Windows 10 is for DirectX 12. DirectX 12 is not benefiting this game at all. Anyway, what we have here, we have Forza Horizon. Now there's some ways to do this. One is we want to go to the Details tab and we want to find Forza Horizon, and we want to just change two settings on it before we begin the game. But if you come straight into the Task Manager, which will be up here, I recommend once you fire it up, you right click on it and you pin it to the taskbar. Obviously your taskbar might be down the bottom of the screen or the side of the screen, but once you do the three-finger salute and fire up the Task Manager, there will be an icon for it, just there, right click on it and pin it there. Okay, if you play Forza regularly, it's quite handy to have it there. Before you start the game, you click on the Task Manager, it will be available then when you're playing the game to simply Alt-Tab between the two. Now I've actually made my Task Manager always on top, which isn't going to be handy if we're playing the game and it's running in the background, so I've just turned that feature off. Okay, so we have here under Processes, Forza Horizon. If we right click on it and we go to Details, it will actually find it for us in the Details tab. I don't use that anymore, I just click on the Details tab. Once Forza's running, it's going to have the highest CPU usage. It can be at the top of the page, certainly if you do a search by CPU. So what we do is we right click on Forza, we go here and we go set priority. Now here's the crazy thing, I set priority to low. I tried setting priority to high and I tried leaving priority at normal, and I actually got improved performance in the game by setting game priority to low. That is so against the typical way that any PC tech enthusiast would approach the project. It's what works best for me. You might want to experiment. I go right click and then we go set affinity. Now this is the one that matters. Okay, what we're doing here is we're turning off core 0. Why are we turning off core 0? Well, we're turning off core 0 because core 0 is the first core and this core is overloaded. It is maxed out. Okay, I have played with all available settings to try and make this game run smoothly. Okay, I've tried overclocks where my 3.4 gigahertz processor, I'm running it at 5.2, stable, and tested in lots of programs, runs flawlessly. With Forza, increasing that percentage, increasing the speed of that processor does help, but it didn't help enough. Okay, what was happening is I can get great high frame rates, but it's the frame rate lows. Okay, what I was getting is these judders. and it was the stutters or the judders that I'm dealing with here today. Okay, that's what I actually fixed, and that's what I want to talk with people about, because there's a lot of people in the same camp as I was in, and it was really driving me up the wall. Okay, love the game, but when you're driving down the road at 200 kilometers an hour and you go judder, 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 the immersion is gone, and a great game is wrecked. So it can be fixed, and it isn't for the developers to fix it. From what I used to think it was the developers. I thought this is the worst optimized game. Obviously it's optimized for Xbox. Likely it's optimized for Xbox in a way to make Ninja PC rigs required to run the same game. Looks great on a bullet point to say, look, you need to spend 5 to 10 times the cost on a PC to get similar performance. That was the category I used to be in, but not anymore. Okay, so what I'm running here is this is called Logitech Arcs. You can run it on an external screen. In this case I just use an old phone. Quite often I sit it here charging, and it's a good piece of software. It'll actually go sideways and it'll display things like your threads and what your processor is actually doing. We can see here, once Forza is loaded, it actually runs the first thread flat out. And that's what we're actually about to do here. When we go CPU 0 off, I'll just show you, you can put this either which way. Sometimes it's preferable to go this way. So I'm just going to sit it here in a place where we can see it, or maybe here. Okay guys? So I'm just going to turn now the first core off. So I'm going to untick CPU 0, and it's gone. So all I did is I right click on Forza, I go down to set affinity, and then I can untick that, right? Once I do that, what we find is it now seems to distribute the workload of what was on core 0 across all the other cores. More importantly, it leaves core 0 to run background tasks, okay? What was happening was that Forza was decrypting all of its textures on the fly, okay? So if we're stuck on a screen like this, Alt-Enter will get us back to full screen, and Alt-Tab, of course, will get us in and out of the task manager as need be. Okay, so here we have Forza. We're on a 21:9 monitor. Sometimes we have a few framing issues in the game. On the whole, not too bad. So we'll now get a chance to see the game load. This was where I could truly confirm that the fix I'm about to give you made all the difference for me. I could actually see here the second time I loaded the game that the amount of CPU usage was right down. What happens when Forza loads up is it decrypts its textures. Okay? So if it's got plenty of memory in the game, it won't have to decrypt those textures on the fly. So the typical thing is people do a tram run in Surface. It's going to be pretty much the first thing I do in the game, hoping that I'll start in Surface Paradise. Otherwise I'm going to drive to Surface Paradise and I'm going to show a lap of Surface Paradise, okay? And trusting that you guys might not be able to see my frame rate counter in the corner, I'll call out my frame rates, okay? At some points. So, okay, I'm going to go continue. When it decrypts the textures on the fly, it's doing it on the primary core, which would normally be that first core, and it's keeping it maxed out. It's maxed out at 3.4 gigahertz on an i7, it's maxed out at 5.2 gigahertz on an i7. So I've dropped my speeds comfortably back to 4.5, and what you'll find when I'm playing the game, you'll see that I'm not even using much CPU grunt at all, which makes sense. An Xbox can run this game, okay? So now, with this change I'm about to give you, this could be the fix for anybody who's got a totally loaded core. What did I do? I'll tell you. In a moment, keep watching. Okay, I just want to prove first that this game can run buttery smooth. I have been one of the people who have had non-stop judders and major issues and was setting all my settings to low, and for months I've tried every possible setting to make this game run smooth, and I finally found the magic potato. So I'm sitting at about 75 frames there, which is my upper frame rate. I've got between 40 and 75 is my FreeSync, and FreeSync just keeps the frames getting to the screen as quickly as possible and actually makes the monitor feel smoother. My old monitor was 120 Hz. 75 Hz FreeSync feels about 100 Hz. It feels just about as quick as the 120 Hz monitor, and I certainly was happy to do a side grade to 21:9 resolution for Battlefield and for Forza. Great step. So anyway, here we go. You can see I'm a bit of a hippie. I actually used to drive a lot of these roads. I've certainly driven around Surface Paradise, but more so the Byron area. That's where I'm basically coming from. I might look like the hippie type or the surfer type out that way. A lot of people in the area don't really appreciate being called hippies. Can be a negative term. I don't really know what it means. So yeah, if you're from Mullen or you're from Nimbin, you're a local, I get it. Look, here we are in Surface. Perfect. We're going to actually do the Surface run. So out the gate, I'm running at 99 frames a second. Now everyone wants to see my settings, and just to confirm, I've set everything up to fairly high. Look, I no doubt could run Ultra on quite a few of these. I used to run it on Ultra and there was no problem with the high frame rate. it was just the judders. Okay, I've only just got the machine up and running again, and I haven't really played with them all back to ultra, but just to take people through it a bit, I've set my frame rate to unlocked because of the FreeSync, because I want it to go up to 75 frames. So my vertical synchronization is off. As quick as the machine can render it, my screen will get it. Okay, motion blur I've turned off. That's just personal preference. I'm generally running at such high frame rates, I don't need motion blur to simulate speed. We're going to see speed. Okay, resolution 2560 by 1080. This is actually a cheap 21 by 9 monitor. The really good ones will do 3400.